Get ready, racing fans! The most electrifying week in motorsports is back! October 6th to 11th, Oswego Speedway transforms into the Clay Palace, the ultimate battleground for Super Dirt Week. From the thrilling races to the electrifying atmosphere, it's more than a race. It's racing's biggest party. Don't miss out. Super Dirt Week 2025, October 6th through the 11th.
Now, stand back for your own safety.
Steve, what's up?
Congrats on the win.
Thanks, Steve. Where Paulie at?
Here we go.
I'm checking out. I will respond to you, but I'm done for the week. I'm done. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. So, my apologies for being late.
I made it.
Yeah, well, good for you. Good for you. Good for you. Good for you.
Check for sound.
Pleasure to be on there talking with Paulie, man. He's a good dude.
I'm an idiot.
I'll just shut up and let you talk. I was trying to help.
And shout out to Tupac.
3, 2, 1, and
This is Orange Nation
Well, hello, Paulie and Steve.
with Steve Infanti and Paulie Sibilia.
We welcome you into a Tuesday edition of Orange Nation alongside Paulie Sibilia. I'm Steve Infanti. We've got a star-studded guest list for you today. Leading off, we've got Wes Durham. He's set to join us here right off the top of the show. He'll be on the call for Syracuse Duke inside the Dome. Family weekend, sold-out crowd. Expected to see two teams 1-0 in conference play go at it. We'll get to Wes here in a moment. David Ubben from The Athletic will join us at 12:30. We'll talk college football with him. And then our good friend James Colgan, writer with Golf.com, will be on with us at 1:30 to preview the Ryder Cup. Plus, we'll mix in your phone calls throughout at 315-437-7644. What's up, Paulie?
Not much, Steve. You don't like the new open of the show. You've made that abundantly clear, right?
It's a lot of Paulie, that's all.
Yeah, no.
Maybe too much Paulie.
Maybe it's because the guests all like me. And maybe we can, our first guest is Wes. Maybe we can have him make like a generic fake nice thing about Steve. Like, hey, Wes, could you generically say something? Insert Steve Infanti's name here nice so I can put it in the open of the show.
Steve's my favorite part of the show.
What's going on?
Steve is my favorite part of the show. How's that?
I like that. Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
I wonder,
Thank you for saying
can I just say this? I'm watching you guys on video. Paulie, what in the hell's the deal with the Padres gear? Are you like a Padres guy?
Yeah, I'm from San Diego.
Did you drive to Syracuse, Paulie?
No, I flew here back in the day. So.
Just checking.
Yeah.
The last flight was for the national championship team, right?
Yeah,
the 2003 SU national championship team. That was his last flight.
And should have been, given the way that turned out. So there you go.
Right.
How you guys doing? All right?
Exactly. We're doing great. How about yourself?
Things are good. Excited to be there on Saturday. Always like coming up that way, but at the same time, looking forward to seeing two teams that are rolling here again, which is nice. Syracuse has kind of gotten there in a unique way, I think, and now with the injury to Angeli, I think it's going to be interesting to see how Ricky Collins handles the operation of the offense. But Duke is the team that was a good rebound for them on Saturday at home against NC State. I wasn't quite sure how that game was going to go, to be honest with you guys, and it turned out to be a real show for Anderson Castle at running back for them, but also their defense started making plays. Trey Freeman, the interception, of course, and things of that nature, and they blocked a kick. So I think we're setting the table for a pretty nice game at noon on Saturday.
Yeah, the winner of this one, 2-0 in conference play, and will be sitting atop the conference standings, most likely with one or two others, depending on what Georgia Tech and Virginia do. But it is a big game in the Dome. We'll get into that here in a little bit. We got a lot to get to from yesterday, Wes, and let's start with the news from the ACC reprimanding Syracuse for the faking of the injuries against Clemson on Saturday, $25,000, and we talked about it on the show yesterday. We feel like a lot of people are doing it. Syracuse just didn't do a great job of hiding it. What do you make of the conference, maybe making an example out of Syracuse and saying, hey, don't do this because if you do, you're going to get fined?
Well, and I think that's a good way to prove it or touch on it, because I think there was going to be a first one, and the first one was layered out at $25,000. And to be honest with you, Steve, I kind of felt like some of this was going to happen. Some of the other fines that have been handed out by other leagues and reprimands and that kind of thing led me to believe that the first time it happened, there was going to be a monetary piece to it, and certainly there was here in this case. This is something that I can just tell you, it was a point of emphasis when we had our football seminar at ESPN, and Steve Shaw, the national coordinator of officials, went at length on this. And basically turned over a lot of cards that I don't think any of us in the media had realized. The damage and the momentum stops and things like this. We saw it on the field, but did we really go back and understand, the scenarios in games, situations, third down, first down, momentum building, all those type things? You saw what you saw on television, but did you really understand in the full game scope? And I think college football and the management of college football on a higher level, CFP on down if you want, they looked at this and said, hey, look, we got to come up with a plan here, or else it's going to be out of control by the time we get back around to it. And for me, I thought they did what they had to do. I'm sorry, from a Syracuse perspective, that the Orange were the first guilty party in the ACC, but you got to keep your coaches on the sideline. Some people haven't, as you guys know. I think there's one in the Mountain West that's pretty severe as well, as I recall. Some of the days run together here pretty quick early in the season. But for me, look, it happened. You got a fine. You could have lost a coach, could have lost a player for a suspension, those type things. Let me just say this. I'm not surprised. And the list, they're trying to curb this thing. And the best way to do it is to do it from a financial end, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And, we were saying yesterday that isn't what determined the game, right? I mean, Syracuse outplayed Clemson for 60 minutes. And
yeah, let me add this real quick. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Cade Klubnik's postgame had nothing to do with this. Now, that's an easy attachment to it. But Cade Klubnik's postgame didn't have anything to do with this. This was already in the works. I'm not saying this with ACC knowledge. I'm just saying the way the games are evaluated and the things I know about how football officiating is taking shape now on the collegiate level, this was already in the works. They were look at the things that went on last week in college football and other leagues. I think it was at Florida they had the problem, if I'm not mistaken, in the SEC. I could be wrong there. But in other ways, this was a point of emphasis in the game nationally, is what I'm getting at.
Sure. So just going back to the game in general, I'm sure you saw how it all played out. Syracuse really dominated that thing start to finish. They were up 10-0 before Clemson even touched the ball on offense. They scored. They got the onside kick. They scored again.
Yep.
What did you make of that performance? I mean, I think those here in Syracuse, we were pleasantly surprised with the way that they played. From a national perspective, Wes, how do you kind of decipher what you saw?
Number one, I thought Syracuse took the fight to Clemson, and they dictated the fight the whole way. And I thought the opening drive set a tone. And I'll tell you the most important part, guys, that I was impressed with was after the rain delay, the lightning delay, they came back and still brought the fight, because we had seen Clemson come back on Troy, obviously a lesser team, after a weather delay. I was impressed that Coach Brown and his squad brought the fight again and dictated the fight again. And here's the other part about this. And this, I think, they exposed Clemson to a higher level than Georgia Tech. They exposed Clemson to a higher level than LSU. It almost looked like Clemson had no answers on any side of it. Now, they had some answers in Atlanta 2 weeks ago. They had some answers against LSU. They had no answers on Saturday. And that's a lot of credit to Fran and his team and the players in particular. I'm as sorry as I can be about the Angeli injury. Just a really, really tough break, and you feel for the kid. But at the same time, I'll finish with this too, Steve and Paulie. Ricky Collins came in there, and you know what? Ricky Collins was ready to go. And I'm really interested to see now, with a full week of prep under his plate as the number one guy, what that looks like on Saturday at noon as well.
Wes, what do you make of this from the Clemson perspective? I was down there.
Oh boy,
that is not a happy fan base.
No.
There's a lot of booing and a lot of inappropriate chants going on at that game.
Paulie, here's the thing with Clemson. It's like if it happened, well, and I mean, let's be honest. You guys have seen it in basketball, right? Let's be honest. It when it doesn't go well and it starts to teeter a little bit, it can be difficult. And Clemson is a place where an expectation was in place for this to be really, really good this year. And I said this yesterday with Roddy Jones on our SiriusXM show on ACC Radio. Clemson's biggest challenge the rest of the year is not who they're playing on the field. It's when they look in the mirror. Clemson has to decide what Clemson's going to be now. This has gone beyond who they're lining up against. Next week it's Carolina and Chapel Hill. Okay, great. You should win the game. They were favored to win by 13.5 on Saturday. Didn't win. Lost by 13.5 or whatever the number was. The idea here, Clemson has got to get Clemson fixed. There's so many things that they have to address about themselves now because, and this is the point I made yesterday with Roddy. Guys, the expectation level of what we had Florida State being a year ago might, emphasis on might, be the problem facing Clemson. Clemson is looking at the fact that the guys on that team now, yeah, they won an ACC championship. Some of them played a role in it. Klubnik did a couple of years ago in Charlotte. Last year, he was involved in the win there. Nolan Hooser kicked the field goal that won the game from 56 yards against SMU. But on the whole, Stephen Pauly, the core of that program's not been involved in any national championship march. There's not a player on that roster involved in national championship march. Now we're talking about limiting of coaches that were really involved in that national championship when they beat Alabama and Santa Clara. Every time this happens, you distance yourself from your success. And that makes coming back to that level even more difficult. And I think that's what Clemson's facing now. And look, it is more than likely, what affects Clemson is more than likely within the walls of their own program right now. Because Syracuse, take nothing away from what they did. But Clemson is not meeting Clemson's expectation now. And it's week in, week out. It's Atlanta. It's against Troy, even though they won. It's against LSU. And it's certainly last Saturday against the Orange.
Yeah, that's really well said, Wes. And you said a moment ago that Clemson had no answers for what Syracuse was doing. And, you know, we've seen this Syracuse offense now move the ball and put up points against everybody, Tennessee included, and Clemson now on the road, you know, there in Death Valley. When you look at Jeff Nixon, their offensive coordinator, are we giving him enough credit? I mean, do you look at him as truly one of the best OCs, you know, in the conference / maybe even in the country? And do you think he's going to be a head coach someday?
Well, I think he's definitely going to be a head coach. He's going to have an opportunity to be. But right now, I would take he and Buster Faulkner at Georgia Tech as the two guys who are driving offensive football in the ACC. Shannon Dawson would fall in that category. And by the way, so would Jeff Brewer, who's coming in on Saturday as the offensive coordinator at Duke. I mean, you think about what Duke has done offensively now. You know, they're averaging better than 7 yards a play in their 4 games so far. I'm really excited to see the game Saturday because I do agree with you, Steve, on that light. Jeff Nixon and Brewer, the offensive coordinator for Duke, are going to have it's a hell of a matchup on paper offensively, and the defenses are reflected too. I said Jonathan Brewer, who is the coordinator for Duke. They've done a phenomenal job there, and I'm excited to see kind of how all this plays out. To be honest with you, because it's really an interesting matchup offensively. Duke created balance last week, run game to throw game. Syracuse has had that balance. The opening drive the other day, Clemson, am I right? It was 5 runs, 7 passes. Is that right? Or 7 runs, 5 passes. It was a great great shift.
I think they ran the first 5 plays, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I think they ran the ball 5 plays in a row, and then they went to the air and they went down and scored.
Exactly. And it was a great gear shift by Nixon. He did a marvelous job with the opening drive. And I think it's one of those deals where, you know, we're going to have a great offensive show on Saturday, and the defensive team maybe that makes a play or gets the stop is probably the one that ends up benefiting in the end.
7 yards per play for Duke, Pauly. That's pretty good. 7. Even you can do the math.
The math on that.
You get a lot of first downs.
Yeah, you don't need all 4 downs on that.
We do have to ask you about the conference schedule.
Sure.
That was announced yesterday as well. Yep. We knew it was kind of trending in this direction, right? But the 9+1 model, the 9 conference games, the 1 extra Power 4 opponent. I would assume that we all kind of expected this, right? You expected this, Wes. How is it going to be put into practice given the numbers, right? Given Notre Dame and the numbers don't quite add up. How is this all going to work in the ACC from what you understand? My
guess is going to be that we're going to have 16 teams. Now, follow me on this, okay? This is the only thing I can tell you. My guess is we're going to have 16 teams play 9 games and 1 team play 8. How's that?
And then that one team would then have to play 2 Power 4 opponents out of conference, theoretically?
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Now,
that makes sense.
And look, I'm not positive on that. I just don't think here's kind of where this went, in my opinion. It's not realistic to make Notre Dame a conference game right? That doesn't make any sense. Notre Dame's not in the league. You don't want to even, you're going to play Notre Dame. They can be one of your non-conference games. Here's the other thing, too. In my opinion, there's already been a preamble bridge built between the Southeastern Conference and the ACC to keep the 4 season-ending rivalries together, okay? I think that's good. It also allows, too, if you start thinking about the 16 teams that are going to play 9 games and the one that's going to play 8, it allows you to kind of rotate that if you choose to, or determine it much like Premier League. It's funny how we live in a little bit of a soccer world on some of this now, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can take either the last team of the year will only play 8, or the championship team will only play 8. The team that go, but that doesn't make sense either. So you got to figure out who's going to play 8. Are you going to rotate it through? Well, oh God, every 18 years we're going to play 8 games. That's going to affect 3 coaching administrations the way college football is now, maybe 4. But, I mean, the idea is that to me is the best long-term sense in the ACC, because then either if you lose a team or you add a team, you can make the adjustment, guys. That's the reality of it.
I do have one follow-up on this. So the article I was reading from ESPN said that it will go into effect in 2026, but then fully be implemented in 2027. So like with Syracuse's schedule next year, they've already got 8 conference games, obviously. They've got Notre Dame, which makes 9.
That's correct. That's not 9 conference games. That's not 9 conference games. That's just 8 still.
Right. So will they have an extra conference game be added to the schedule, and will they lose one of their other non-conference games, I guess is what I'm asking.
That question is better asked to John, obviously. But I would say at this point, yes, that would be my opinion. Now, I wasn't in the room yesterday. I've talked to a couple people who superficially kind of gave me some ideas ahead of yesterday's meeting. But I would say I think that's probably the plan. Look, I'll tell you a personal side of this. So I went to school at Elon. Paulie knows that, Steve. And Elon's scheduled to play Stanford next year, okay, as part of their FBS. Like this year they played Duke. Next year they're supposed to play Stanford. And when this came into effect yesterday, my first thought was, well, Elon's not going to play Stanford next year because Stanford already has Hawaii and San Jose State on their schedule. And if they play 9 league games, that's 11. Now, maybe they do. I don't know. We'll see. Right. But I think those are the games. Now, remember this, too, and I think this was written in one of the articles. NC State and Virginia are supposed to play again next year as part of that non-conference thing they did in week 2. So that now is a conference game. Think of those type games that have already been scheduled among some ACC members as well. And adding that other conference game does not negatively impact your television arrangement. In fact, it helps your television arrangement. And it also helps in the bigger picture of the CFP, rather, in terms of the scheduling metric that now comes into play. But here's the other part. You need to make sure you're getting those P4 non-conference contracts lined up. Don't sit around and wait on Notre Dame. Don't sit around and wait on, whatever. Go ahead and be proactive. If you're John Wildhack or if you're any other athletic director, be proactive with who you want to play as part of that 2-game, P4 arrangement. You can play a MAC team. You can still play somebody else. But think about how your non-conference games are going to line up. You need to re-engineer some of that accordingly as we move down the line.
Wes, I got one favor to ask you, too, is can you put maybe some of the Twitter fans at Syracuse at ease, going back to the finding of Syracuse, that it wasn't done by the ACC because they beat Clemson?
It was not done. It was not done because you won the road game, folks. I promise you. It was done because, again, feigning of injuries, okay, nationally is a point of emphasis by all of college football. It's just what it is at this point in time. Okay. So that's why it happened. And they have the tape. They have all the look now, the Game Day Operations Center, which has been fun for us to have the access, right, on some of these review calls on our show, has been great. But that Game Day Operations Center's got, as many cameras as a shopping mall at times. So that kind of thing, they're going to see it and they're able to look at it and capture it and then go back and review it and administrate it. So when the guy goes down with the sniper shot from somewhere out in the middle, right? Remember the kid that used to go down like 16 yards off the ball? Oh, my God, a cramp. Here we down he goes. That's the kind of stuff we're talking about. And so they go back and investigate all that, and that's part of the issue for sure.
Yeah, I was there, and I prefaced this yesterday. I'm not a doctor, but it didn't look good.
Well, we saw the same
You
thing.
mean it didn't look, Paulie, the term is it didn't look medical, is what you're saying.
Yes.
It didn't look medical.
Right.
There you go.
Wes, I feel like we could talk to you all day. We love having you on. Thanks so much for giving us some time, and we look forward to seeing you inside the Dome on Saturday.
Hey, Paulie, you know what I'm going to do this week when I come up there? I'm going to go have dinner with the HOFer.
Oh, nice.
Is that right? Do you know where you're
I'm
going
not going to. No, we're not advertising that. Come on, man. I'm not doing that. But I'm having
Well, you don't have to tell us, but do you know where you're going? Is it all locked in? Like,
I don't know. I don't know. He's taking me and our producer and a couple other people, but he's not paying. We're not letting him grab the wallet this time. He tries to pay all the time. We're not doing that.
I don't mean to brag or anything, but he has told me he would never go to dinner with me. So.
He has told me.
No wonder the open of this show just applauds you to just beat yourself up a little more, right? Come on, Steve. Steve, you're in TV, man. You got to roll some stuff in here to counteract this Paulie love fest that the opening billboard.
He made it, so he made it. I mean, I'm at his mercy.
I can't get anybody to say anything nice about this guy.
Unbelievable, because you're not asking the question either, Paulie.
Exactly.
Take care, guys. Great to see you. We'll see you this weekend.
Thanks for having my back. I'll see you soon.
All right, be well.
Wes Durham joining us here on the show. He'll be on the call for Syracuse Duke on Saturday noon kick with what is a very big game inside the Dome. Both these teams 1-0 in conference play, and the winner's going to be 2-0, a quarter of the way through their conference schedule. So that's certainly something. 315-437-7644. We're going to take a timeout here. We'll get to your phone calls next on ESPN Radio.
Auburn Community Hospital are proud supporters of Syracuse football radio coverage. We are the pulse of the Orange. ESPN Radio 97.7 and 100.1.
Hurt in a car? Call William Attar. With decades of experience, we've built a powerful team dedicated to helping injured clients. We know how to take on big insurance and fight for the compensation you
Next
deserve.
week's October 4th.
Our resources and commitment mean we're here for you 24/7, ready to guide you every step of the way. Hurt in a car?
And people
Call
let me
William
do my
Attar. 315
people that work here know I'm doing
Main Street, Williamsville, South State Street, Syracuse.
Spoiler alert. A two-word warning that we're about to ruin the end. But sometimes spoilers can be worthwhile. And so we designed the Lexus NX to reveal many things. Like taking the mystery out of how close you are between parking space lines, or the time you'll arrive at your dinner reservation. Technology designed to remove surprise endings. It's just a better story that way.
I was there. Clemson wasn't doing it as much as Syracuse was, guys. I don't.
Syracuse Orange football is back. A 10-win season in Coach Fran Brown's first year brought the energy back to the community. But this isn't the ceiling, it's the foundation. This offseason, elite recruits and transfers
Why
have been
would
added
West
to
Durham be
compete
calling
and win
NC
at the
State
highest level.
we?
When the JMA Wireless Dome is packed in loud, it creates one of the best home field advantages in the country. Get your tickets now.
His dad, he has no ties to NC State, so I don't know why he would be saying we, Marius. Ah, shut up, all of you. God damn, you're all perfect. I wish I didn't have to talk to you. All right, well, he has no ties to NC State. He's an ACC shill? Okay, well, SU's in the ACC. I can't take this. That why do Syracuse fans have this, like, there's some that just have this little redheaded stepchild mentality that everybody's out to get them. 90% of the people in broadcast went to Syracuse. Like, I don't get it. I said some. It's just weird to me that, like, the announcers aren't out to get you. Did they get thrown under the bus after beating Miami last year? Or Georgia Tech? I don't get what you guys... You really think if they beat North Carolina, it'll be because North Carolina... guys, get over it. Get over it. The ACC might, but it's... I'm not going to get into this, guys. The ACC doesn't want to have to fine any of its schools for hurting the integrity of the game, guys. None.
And I think whatever example, like at some point they had to make an example of someone, and they had to go with something that was blatant. That couldn't be.
It was awful.
It couldn't be debated,
Syracuse
right?
did it, and they got caught. And then there's people saying that Fran's not being accountable. He's accountable to his boss, who told him not to talk about it. Also. Welcome back to Orange Nation. Steve, how are you, buddy?
I'm all right.
We're running late. We had Wes Long. Jackson Brown's our artist of the day.
Let's get a quick phone call in. Let's go to Ryan in Virginia, who's been patiently waiting. Ryan, what's up?
Steve, Paulie, how are you guys doing today? You pretty happy we're 3-1?
Yeah, of course.
What's going on?
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about the Clemson game and Fran Brown a little bit. I was skeptical going into this year. I kind of thought last year everything just fell into place with having McCord and a lot of seniors and then not a lot of injuries. But after watching that Clemson game, I'm no longer a skeptic. I think they're for real. I think even with Collins, they're still going to find a way to win games. And my biggest takeaway is how good Jeff Nixon is. Reports, Angeli was that maybe he wasn't even the backup, that he was the third stringer, and then all of a sudden he comes to Cuse and he's leading the nation in passing. So I got to believe there's going to be teams going after him for a head coaching spot. And I'm also curious because I can't help but wonder, now that they're having this success, with Fran Brown, like how many wins would he need this year for another school to be seriously interested in him? And then I guess the second part of my question is, what type of school would he leave Syracuse for?
Well, these are all good questions, Ryan, and it just so happens that we have a national college football writer coming up next from The Athletic, and we're going to ask him some of these questions because he spent some time with Fran. He published a profile on Fran last week through The Athletic right before the win over Clemson, and these are all good questions. I think questions that a lot of us have on our minds. How long is he here for? What kind of job would he leave for? I don't know if our next guest necessarily has the answers, but we can certainly talk about that, Paul.
Can I hit on one more thing, Steve, before we go to break? I said this as we were coming back to our viewers. There's people in the chat saying that Fran isn't following his own dart mentality because he didn't address the fines yesterday. He said I believe I heard him say John Wildhack told him not to talk about it and move forward.
Yeah.
There's people in your life that in dart you're accountable to more than others. And if your boss tells you to do something, you do it.
Yeah.
You are accountable to your boss.
And again, you and I talked about this yesterday. The actual statement was,
we take responsibility.
It was accountability. It's like we acknowledge and accept.
Yes.
Like, we get it. And no appeal. And to me that was the acknowledgement was the accountability.
Yeah.
I was surprised to see a lot of people up in arms yesterday about Fran and is he being held accountable. I 100% agree with you that his boss told him not to say it. Don't talk about it. They released the statement. He referred to the statement multiple times, and he's doing what he's got to do.
My boss told me to fire Steve, so gonna have to be a dart.
Right, but again, you don't have the power.
I'm gonna have to be accountable.
Are we gonna talk about this again?
I'm gonna have to be dart, Steve. Fire you.
All right, we'll take a time out here. David Ubben from The Athletic, national college football writer. He will join us next. We'll talk to him about Fran Brown. That's next on ESPN Radio.
I am fart. I did that today. I'm fart. I'm fun, attractive, dumb. I can't spell fart right. I'm fun, attractive, relatable, and tired. That's me, fart. I'm going to get shirts made with a big cloud puff on them. What do you think? Fun, attractive, relatable, and tired.
I would have gone annoying with the A.
But that's you. Performative is the B. That's funny, Smashing Louise. DARP. Fun, annoying, repulsive, and tiring. Tiresome. What would your fart be, Steve? Not fun. Feeble? Feeble? Appalling?
That's not very nice.
Create your own fart and send it in. Put it on our Facebook. Let's create your own fart. Describe yourself as a fart. What do you think? Be huge. People hold up fart signs at the Dome, and they'll know they listen to Orange Nation. You know how they do it with like the ESPN at game day? People at Syracuse will never have game day. Oh, if game day comes and people hold up fart signs,
never coming back.
Food restrictions. That's a good F. Food restriction. I like feeble better. Respectful. That's a good R.
Take that.
Tolerant. Feeble. We need the A. What's Steve's A? Jeez, that ended harsh. Abominable? Achy. That's a good one. Feeble, achy, respectful, and tolerant. Adorable. I say, oh, adorable. We can do that. I'm attractive. You're adorable. A-hole. That's a good one. Feeble a-hole. I'm sorry if our guest is hearing this. Oh. Welcome back to Orange Nation. Artist of the Day, Jackson Brown. This is Boulevard Holdout.
Down on the boulevard, they take it hard.
You know, Steve, it's acronym, right? I'm stupid. Yeah. For DART, I've come up with merch ideas for me.
Yes. tune into QSportsTalk.com during the commercial breaks.
Yeah, it's a gas.
Good start to the show with Wes Durham.
Yeah, that's a good get by whoever booked him.
Your boys with Wes.
You're welcome.
We have another good guest coming your way right now as we go to our guest line to bring on David Ubbin, national college football writer for The Athletic. Wrote a profile on Fran Brown, which dropped on Friday just before Syracuse went in and knocked off Clemson down in Death Valley. David, thanks so much for the time. We appreciate you coming on. And, let's start with the time you spent with Fran. What was it like kind of getting to meet him, getting to know him, and doing the story on him?
I mean, he's an intense guy. He was at the top of my list, honestly, this offseason for just, interesting people in the sport. Because, I think when you're a college head coach, there's a lot of pressures to be a lot of people, and he seems to just sort of be Fran at all times. And there's not a lot of Frans in college football. So I wanted to kind of get to know, how did we get to this point? Why are you the way that you are? And, the Trevor Pena situation I thought was super interesting. And so I think, it's a story about Fran, but I think also it's a story about the hiring practices in college football, and that, everyone wants the hot coordinator, and nobody's looking for, a person who has a plan to run their program and understanding people and delegation and all of those things. And I think that there's been so many hires in this sport over the last 20 years that are oh, we like that offense, we like that defense, we want to bring it into our program. When, that's such a small part of being a head coach. And Fran seems very interested in doing all of the things that are involved in being a head coach. But he didn't have the name recognition. He was a position coach, but it seems like a prescient hire. And then I think also just talking explicitly about the money in college football. He just does things very differently than we've really seen, and I think his hire was very different. And so he was at the top of my list of people that I really wanted to write about this offseason. So it was great to get a chance to get some time with him and talk to people about him.
I thought one of the most noteworthy parts of the piece was that you mentioned in the piece, John Wildhack said that when Fran called him, that John was actually planning on calling Fran next, which is that's the first time I had heard that, because the story that we had heard was that Fran kind of called him out of the blue. John was just about to get on a flight, and he was like, all right, let's talk. They set up a time to talk. They ended up talking for 2 hours or whatever it was, and kind of the rest is history. But we had not heard that. So can you speak to that John was very much ready to give Fran a call, which we had yet to hear that.
Yeah, I think I sort of alluded to it in the piece, but a lot of people seem to be kind of in John's ear about Fran Brown, and that, his connections to the Northeast and his, recruiting acumen and the vision that he kind of had for his program, and aiming higher on the field, on the recruiting trail, were a good fit for what they kind of wanted Syracuse to be. And so I think he was intrigued by him. But, you spend any time with Fran, you can see how he wins people over, because he's sort of unapologetic in his aspiration and how he views himself. And you sort of have to have what seemed like a year ago to be some irrational self-confidence. And then, a year later, that self-confidence doesn't look so irrational. So when he's talking about national titles and doing all these big things at Syracuse, well, if he was talking about winning 10 games and signing 5 stars a year ago, people would have scoffed as well. And that, there seems to be a lot less skepticism, and especially that's true coming off of, a weekend when you go down to Death Valley and kind of push Clemson around.
You mentioned in the piece that Todd Bowles was one of the coaches that called John Wildhack unprompted when he heard that Fran was in the running for the job. What are other coaches in the industry? What were they saying about Fran at the time? What are they saying about him now? It seems like he's got a lot of friends in the industry.
Yeah, I think just a lot of kind of what we put in the piece is that Fran is Fran at all times, and hard worker, recruiter. A guy who understands people, can relate to people of all ages, and obviously, a guy that has a ton of ambition and isn't going to settle for we need to go 8-4, because if we go 8-4, we're going to meet expectations. That's just not in his DNA. And I think that is something that Syracuse felt like they were kind of missing. And so, I think the thing from John's perspective is he talked to so many people and just kept hearing the same things, and a lot of consistency. And then, you sit down with him and you see some of those same things. And then now, obviously, in the last year and a half, you've seen that play out. And like I said, I just think Fran was such an unorthodox hire in a lot of ways. And everybody's so tied up in, like, we got to get a guy that's tied to our school. We got to get, this guy because we got to sell it. Like, you guys can speak to this more than I can, but, like, I don't think people are that excited about bringing Fran Brown to Syracuse. He's not splashy. He doesn't really have a lot of name recognition, or didn't, when he was hired. But if you're an AD and you're doing the work of a coaching search and you say, okay, I think this guy's a really good fit. I think this guy's going to thrive in this role. When you're on the ground talking to people, you have to do that. And I think there's so much emphasis in the sport now on winning the press conference and having a splashy hire and making headlines. And, there's a lot of that going on in Chapel Hill right now.
Sure.
And, like, all this stuff. And it's like, but who's going to help the program thrive? Who's a good fit for what we need to be, and not just because he has a degree from our school or used to play here. Like, I just think John needs to think about this hire in a different way, and I think a lot of ADs could do that and could succeed in doing that similarly, rather than, like I said, having the splashy guy, having the guy that, well, he was here before, or he's got bona fides here. I just think some of that stuff was really overrated, and especially now that running a college football program, coaching football has never been less of the job. And you just have to have a coach who is interested in, yes, you got to coach football, but you've got to be interested and invested in all the other parts of the job that aren't as glamorous and aren't as fun, and he seems to do that.
There's no doubt it was a risk at the time. I mean, John Wildhack had laid out what he was looking for, the criteria, and one of the criteria was head coaching experience or experience as a coordinator, and Fran didn't have either. And so when he announced that this was his guy, that everybody said, well, that box wasn't checked. So there's no doubt that it was a risk at the time. It's obviously paid off. They're 13-4. Fans around here are loving it, but they're also concerned. We just had somebody call right before you came on about how long is Fran going to be here for? What kind of job might he leave here for? And I don't know if you got a feel for that at all, but let's say, they just beat Clemson. They're 3-1. Let's say they go 8-4 this year with this really tough schedule. Do you think he's going to get interest from other programs? And I guess what level of program might be interested in Fran Brown should he continue to succeed here?
I mean, I think a bunch of programs are going to be interested. I mean, you have a guy who has done things at Syracuse that are really hard to do, that has garnered excitement through, just a lot of authenticity. He's not hosting pep rallies downtown. He's just like, we're going to focus on winning and trying to get good players and develop the players that we have at Syracuse. And so, I mean, he's going to have a lot of interest. I think there are going to be some big SEC jobs that when they open up, whether or not they offer him, I don't know, but I think he'll get some calls. And, what he wants to do, what he sees for himself, I didn't really talk too much about that. But I think the thing with Fran is he seems like a person that's very much in the moment. And, he said it in the piece, and I thought it was pretty interesting. The stages are created by the people on them. And so I don't think he feels like to fulfill his destiny or whatever, he's got to be at Georgia or Alabama or whatever. But I think he's a guy who lives in the moment and sort of thinks about tomorrow and thinks about today. And so I don't think he's thinking about that. But, if it's the end of the season and, Florida's calling him up, or I don't know, if Ole Miss is calling him up, if Langley and something like that, I think you have to think about it. Whether or not he does or doesn't take it, I don't know. But I think it'd be I'm sure he will get interest, if Syracuse continues on this trajectory. And, the schedule being what it is, I think that's going to be tough. And maybe if another guy is going to get hired, he's going to have to, maybe they'll win 7 games, 8 games this year and be better than people think because the schedule is so unforgiving. But, we'll see. It's going to be interesting. There's a lot of variables. Like I said, the schedule, what Fran wants to do, what these SEC jobs look like, how all those things play out. I think there's a lot of variables. But,
sure.
To answer your question, I think absolutely he's going to be getting some calls if the trajectory of what they're doing at Syracuse stays even close to what it has been.
And with that in mind, we mentioned they're 3-1. They just knocked off Clemson. But, as you know, they just lost their quarterback in Steve Angeli with an Achilles injury. Just had surgery yesterday. He's out for the rest of the season. Where do you put Syracuse right now in the ACC race? Or, how do they stack up in the ACC conference right now, knowing that they're about to go to their backup quarterback for the rest of the season?
more from Ricky Collins. I mean, I don't know that I see them contending this year. I mean, in part, I'm not sure they have the guys. I saw this team in person in week 1 in Atlanta. I'm not sure they have the dudes to necessarily compete at the very, very top with teams like Miami and Florida State. And, Clemson's just kind of a mess right now. So obviously I don't think you can throw them in there. We'll see what SMU is as time goes by. But ultimately, I think they're going to be a tough out for everybody. But that schedule, I mean, I think you can put up their schedule, them in Florida. I haven't seen 2 tougher schedules in the country this year.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's very difficult. All the tough ones are away, as we know, and even the ones at home. I mean, they've got Duke coming in this week, and Duke is much improved from the Duke of past. So it is a very demanding schedule. I do want to get to the news yesterday out of the ACC, and that was Syracuse was fined $25,000 for faking injuries. It's not just a Syracuse thing, right? It's this is kind of going on around the country, and conferences are doing their best to kind of nip it in the bud. What are your thoughts about conferences fining teams, if they can determine that they faked an injury?
I mean, I think everyone involved in this sport would like to get faked injuries out of the game. And if you're doing it, which a lot of teams are doing it, and you get caught, I think you're subject to, the penalties the conference has put in. The rule they put in, this year about the spotting the ball and taking the timeout, I mean, it's an imperfect solution. The reason why you haven't seen like draconian measures come on is I think schools are very nervous about guys who are really injured, pushing through or hurting themselves worse or putting themselves in danger to not come out of the game because, well, they're going to sit out the rest of the half, they're going to sit out the rest of the drive or this or that.
Right.
But when it's pretty explicit and you see, guys going down that look like they're pretty healthy, that's a problem, and you got to get that out of the sport. But then like there becomes an interpretation where like, okay, maybe a guy is like limping and he's not going to be able to perform on the next play, and then coaches are telling him to go down. Hey, go down so we can take this time out and whatever. Like there's just a lot of pitfalls for it, but I don't have a problem with schools and coaches and all that stuff being penalized when it's pretty clear that, this was a fake thing. And I think certainly, Clemson had a lot of frustration about it as well. This has been a thing for a long time since tempo offenses, have come on. When you have a big play and everybody's rushing up to the line and all of a sudden, the cramps, I got cramp. What should I say? Like, listen, it is what it is. I generally think it's unsportsmanlike, but it's a strategy, and the rules to protect against it are imperfect. And so, it is what it is.
Yeah, as you said, it's been going on for a while since teams started going up tempo. We saw it a lot when Dino Babers was the head coach here. He wanted to go fast, and opponents would fake injuries quite a bit to slow him down. And now, conferences are trying to put an end to it. Lastly, David, as long as we have you just talking ACC stuff, they announced yesterday that they're going to go to this 9+1 scheduling model, 9 conference games, 1 Power 4 opponent. So, 10, a minimum of 10 Power 4 opponents every year for everybody. You think it's a good move for the league, good move for college football that a lot of the conferences are going in this direction?
I mean, I think you have to. Like, in my perfect world, you'd have much smaller conferences. You'd play like 7 conference games and then have 5 non-conference games and get a lot of, diversity in the schedule. But with the super conferences being what they are, you can't do that. You got to play your teams in your conference. I don't really like the current, situation that college sports finds itself in. But there has to be equality in schedule. Like the fact that college football, half the major leagues have been playing 8 games and half been playing 9 is so insane. I've always compared it to like, what if the NFC played 16 games and the AFC played 18 games and they just went in the playoff? Like that's crazy. But nobody's in charge, and the sport is what it is. And so you need to get to this. Everybody's got to be playing 9. I like the one. P4 requirements that I think every league has that. Whether it's in writing or not, most teams seem to really do it. So, I think you just have to this is what it is. The sport needed to get to this place. And, the SEC seemed like they got dragged kicking and screaming there. And once they did, it felt like a matter of time before the ACC kind of had to follow suit.
David, great stuff. We really appreciate you coming on. We appreciate the time. Thanks so much, and enjoy the rest of the college football season.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
David Ubben from The Athletic joining us here on the program. We'll take a time out here. We'll check in on the market. We'll wrap up hour number 1 next on ESPN Radio.
Philly, I just asked the basketball people if there's any public comment on JJ's hand. All right. I said, I don't even know if it's in a wrap, but I asked.
It was. I don't know if it is anymore. They just started practice yesterday.
Good job, Steve. I'm insulted that you guys think Danny DeVito should play me, right? Like if Jordan was still, Jordan's more built like Danny DeVito than I am.
So I saw this the other day. So Denzel was on one of the late night.
Denzel.
Yeah, you saw that.
Yeah.
So that's what I was going to bring up. You saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Had you known that prior to
No.
this?
But he is Denzel. But his mom just called him Denzel because it was his dad's name and they got confused.
Right. Yeah.
But
Which I found fascinating. I just saw that the other night. It was like a week ago it was on. And he said that you actually pronounce it Denzel. I thought that was really interesting.
There isn't a public statement yet. Might be one today. If I get something before you're off the air, I'll send it to you. Sure, Jeremy Piven's fine, I guess. He's also fatter than, like, why are you guys picking fat people? Am I fat?
Jeremy Piven? He's not fat.
He's robust. Let's Google. Let's ask Google. Is Jeremy Piven fat?
No. He says he's 5'9", 175 pounds.
No, he's not fat. He has 6% body fat. Whoa. All right. You throw steel.
Why did you think he was fat?
I don't know. I felt like early on he was fat. Jordan quit. Tom Cruise is short and handsome like me.
I expect West Durham to be part of the next Open. We'll save that.
Oh, I'll put it in like tonight. It will definitely be there. Steve is my favorite part of the show. How is that? I'm leaving the how is that in there.
You said that?
No, he said that. He goes, Steve was my favorite part of the show. How was that?
He meant it, though.
You guys are insulting me today. They want Danny DeVito and Jason Alexander to play me.
YouTube chat's quiet today.
How about Coach K plays Steve? He looks like a rat.
Greg and I we were just together like a week ago. There's me and Greg.
Oh, look at that. You never take pictures with me. Do you think Jim Boeheim would play me like he wants to in a movie?
He doesn't want anything to do with you.
What's YouTube saying?
Nothing.
They haven't said anything.
They were very quiet today. They're very quiet today.
Kyle Wilson was the last one to speak. You scared him off. Welcome back to Orange Station. I had no idea he was in this song, Steve, but Clarence Clemens, the late great member of the E Street Band, sax player, With Jackson Brown, you're a friend of mine. You are not a friend of mine.
Let's go to the phone lines and bring on our good friend Bill from Lee Baldwin and Company.
He is a friend of mine.
As we check in on the market. Bill, what's going on?
Pretty quiet day so far. The markets are mixed, but the Dow is trading higher, up 60 points. We're going to use our diamond today is going to be our local chip maker Micron, rising 2% ahead of earnings tonight. People are expecting good things from them. It's received a number of upgrades, but don't be surprised if it's trading lower tomorrow, which is basically a sell in the news after a big run-up, which is very common. So we'll see how that reports tonight. And on the downside, we have AutoZone trading modestly lower on earnings. They missed for a fifth consecutive quarter, but they said they're continuing to expand with more stores and trying to grow market share. So pretty quiet day so far.
All right, Bill. As always, we appreciate the time. Lee Baldwin, all of the diamonds, none of the dogs. Be sure to visit leebaldwin.com.
Steve, I'm insulted right now.
By?
Our listeners. They are discussing who would play us in a movie if we had a movie about Orange Nation. And Jason Alexander and Danny DeVito have been tossed out for me. And I'm not happy about that. I'm not fat. Those guys are
not
fat.
You're not.
And they're stubby. I'm like proportioned properly.
I've told you, I think you look like Justin Verlander. Not that he's an actor, but...
Yeah, he's not an actor.
Maybe he could be for this movie. I don't think you need to be a good actor to star in the Orange Nation movie.
Bob Saget would have been great for you. And I think that's right. You are kind of
I did get some Bob Saget back in the day, yeah.
Now Kevin James. But now they're just doing this on purpose.
I think so. Don't let them get at you, Paul.
No, I'm thinking, like, what would our movie be called? Orange Nation? The movie?
Orange Nation, the movie. That's perfect. What a title.
I would like to be played by Tom Cruise. He's short and proportionate and beautiful like me. And you can be up to the late great Bob Saget.
All right. Shall we get back on time here?
Yeah. Well, there's gonna be a great scene in the movie where you're trying to read the opening credits and you look up as the credits are rolling and you hurt your neck.
Too late. I've already injured the neck. All right.
And that will explain the great neck injury. Steve was reading his own credits on the movie.
We've got James Colgan coming your way here in hour number 2. He'll join us at 1:30 as we preview the Ryder Cup. We've got to get to today's business. Still a lot to come as hour number 2.
That's more like next. It. Ben Affleck.
There you go.
Yeah.
Feel better about that?
Yes.
All right.
And Brad Pitt, it looks too much like me. People would be like, my God.
Is he playing himself?
The acting is impeccable.
Hour number 2 starts next on ESPN Radio.
How's that's the best part? Who played, if there was a woman to play me, I'd want it to be the lady from Murder, She Wrote. Yeah. Yeah, but she would be great. Who would play Jim Boeheim in our movie? This is going to be the whole next segment.
Who's going to play us?
I don't know, but let's just keep. Who would play Jim Boeheim when he comes on? Who would play Matt Park? Because he'd have to have a part, right? Recurring role. Jabba the Hutt. Elvis 78 for Matt Park. You guys are mean. Sandler for me could work. Who would play Adam Terry? That's a good one. The guy from Happy Gilmore with a nail in his head. Shane Gillis is Matt Park. That'd be good. Who would play Taste It? Who would play Tim Leonard?
$200 off each new door. No interest financing for 18 months. Go to universalwindowsyracuse.com to set up your free in-home estimate.
How dare you, CJC? Kevin Hart for me. I could take that. Shia LaBeouf for Tim Leonard. The Rock could play Michael Antonio. Seth Green for Tim Leonard. Kate I do like Danny DeVito as Jordan. You all right? The Invisible Man would play Brian Higgins. Mario says Pauly Shore for me and Adam Sandler for you. John Cena could play Brian Higgins because you can't see him anymore. How's that, Steve? That's a funny joke. Welcome back to Orange Nation. Hour number 2 is underway. Steve, I have the potential to completely take the show off the rails today.
Just during the commercials.
During the commercials, it's gone. But it's an interesting topic. Like the Syracuse sports media, if we made Orange Nation the movie, who would play who? And our chat is very brutal. Not going to lie.
Yes.
I asked who would play.
That's surprising.
I asked who would play Tim and Matt Park and Adam Terry, and they're not nice people.
So we'll save it for the commercials. We'll talk sports during.
Who would play Jim Boeheim? And that would be a good question to ask him next time.
He's been in movies before. So.
I know, but next time we have him on, we could ask him who he would like to play him.
Because he could play himself. He's been in movies before.
He can't do his own stunts anymore, though.
There's a lot of stunts in Orange Nation, the movie?
Oh, yeah, very exploding cars, scaling of buildings. You know what it's like when we're not on the air.
All right, let's go to the phone lines. Drew in Syracuse kicking us off here in the second hour. Hey, Drew.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Two things I just want to say is, number one, all week I called about the offensive line. That offensive line played incredible.
Yes.
You know, all game long, that offensive line was incredible. Number two is twins. Steve, you're Arnold Schwarzenegger. Paulie, you're Danny DeVito.
That's funny. That's funny for a lot of reasons.
On a final note, I do always appreciate you guys always taking calls and being positive about Syracuse. Like I said it like a while back. I said everybody just relax, and it turned out okay. It really did. So thank you for you guys always being here and always listening. So thank you.
Appreciate it, Drew. Thanks for calling as always. Yeah, I mean, everything's all right at the moment, no doubt. 3-1 and coming off a win over Clemson. And, I tend to think that Ricky Collins will figure it out. He's got the coaching. Now he's got the job. I think we're going to see a smoother Ricky Collins out there on Saturday than we have to this point in, the limited role that he's taken on. So it's his team now. He's preparing like the starter. The coach is going to work with him. They're going to set him up for success, and we'll see what it looks like against Duke. Vegas obviously thinks they're scoring points because the over-under's over 60. So I think both teams are going to score points on Saturday. It could come down to which defense plays better.
Steve.
Yes, Paulie. You don't want to talk sports, do you?
No, I do, but someone said Alan Alda.
Oh, for
Jim Boeheim. That is banging. That is on the nose.
Yeah. That
Alan
is
Alda
good.
would be good. And then I had to Google, is Alan Alda still alive? He is.
Is he? How old is he, though?
Alan Alda is currently 89.
Yeah.
He can't do his own stunts either.
No. But that's a good comparison.
Yeah. I really don't think will they lose a step on offense? Probably, but I don't think the offense is going to fall off that much going into this Duke game. I really think it's a coaching thing.
Yeah, I mean, let's hope so, right? I mean, that's I think what everybody's banking on, and this goes back to having two really good quarterbacks in your system instead of one that's far and away better than everybody else, and then a huge drop off. And you hope that there's not a huge drop off between Steve Angeli and Ricky Collins, and we'll see Saturday. Just how close they are, I guess.
Yeah, I have no idea what Scooter looks like, but who do you think would play Scooter?
Ask him. Ask Scooter. Sure, people have told him, "Hey, you look like so and so."
I know, but I want to play. I want to think of what I think Scooter would look like. And I kind of I feel like Danny DeVito could play everybody in this movie. But yeah,
multiple roles.
Scooter.
Who
would play you?
Are you talking about the aging Scooter or
the current Scooter
in his prime?
No, this Scooter right now.
That's a good question. When I was a long time ago, they thought I looked like James Caan, but that was a long time ago.
Oh,
the
wow.
hair and everything else. Yeah, way back. Well, I was working out and stuff, and had the hair and just kind of look and stuff. So maybe more like an older Bruce Dern right now, maybe.
I don't know why, but L.A. Orange said this, and it's perfect for me. Rodney Dangerfield would be.
There you go. I'll take it.
Who would play him?
I'll take it. But Wes Durham, I love him as a guest. I mean, I miss him in the morning on the ACC network when he was with Packard, and when he kind of agrees with I think I know what it makes me feel comfortable. But he talked about Clemson, and you hear Dabble talk about championships in the past, and he said the same thing. The coordinators are all gone. And I just see Dabo as more of a CEO. He needs good offensive, defensive coordinators. And if you look from a national perspective, what has Clemson done? I mean, even in the national games, they got behind the woodshed with LSU, and before that, Ohio State woodshedded them. And to me, if you watch the Syracuse game, name me where Clemson was better than Syracuse. I mean, quarterback, no. Receivers, no. Running back, no. I heard about the vaunted front seven. The way they played, Syracuse basically did anything they wanted to. And to me, when Syracuse didn't go out and look nationally for a coach to replace Marone, they went to Scott Schaefer. I said, okay, who's going to be their offensive coordinator? That's more important than that. And I think they picked up some guy from Arkansas, a wide receiver coach. And then it worked out good. And Robinson was Brian Periani. Jeff Nixon is amazing. I'm hoping the Ties keep him here. I mean, his son plays football, and I think his daughter plays field hockey, maybe?
She's on the soccer team.
The soccer team, okay. Maybe that keeps him here. But I'm telling you right now, if Clemson's smart, they're contacting him right after the season because
obviously Clemson, a Dabo can't change their offense because he's had 4 years. And just remember, the quarterback was up there in the Heisman Trophy contention talking. So it wasn't like we went against the quarterback that no one knew about. So, but I thought Syracuse had more explosive receivers. I thought Syracuse was the better team on Saturday.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's hard to argue with you, Scooter, about you go position by position. Syracuse dominated that thing across the board. Offense, defense, special teams. They were the better team. There's no doubt about it. I appreciate you checking in as always. So, with that being said, Paul, Tim posed the question to us before the show started about if you had to reset your expectations right now coming off this Clemson win, if you had to set an over-under for win total, it was 5.5 according to Vegas.
Because of the quarterback position.
Right, but what would you change it now?
No, I'd leave it the same right now.
Okay.
Let's see how they do after Duke. But right now I would leave it the same because I don't know what they have at the quarterback position. Does that make sense?
It does. It's interesting to point out that if you go by the college football rankings put out by The Athletic, The Athletic ranks everybody. And Syracuse only has 2 more games on its schedule against teams above them right now in those rankings, Miami and Georgia Tech.
Yeah. Notre Dame has fallen off. SMU has fallen off.
Oh, Notre Dame's actually not on this list. Okay, so it's just conference games on here. So Notre Dame is not on here. But SMU is just below Syracuse. Duke is about 10, 11 spots below Syracuse. Pitt, BC, UNC all below Syracuse. So it's interesting because coming into the year, we looked at it as, North Carolina, we felt like was very much a toss-up. It's still a toss-up to some degree, but I think SU is the better team.
That seems more winnable than it did.
Yeah, no doubt. I think, BC all along we thought would be a winnable game, and that certainly is. Pittsburgh probably not as good as people were expecting. SMU probably not as good as people were expecting. I think the jury's still out on Duke a little bit. They've lost a couple of tough games. They've played some decent competition. Illinois just blew them out, but then they bounced back against NC State. I think Duke's pretty good. I think Duke is on equal footing as Syracuse, and I think SMU is as well. Now Georgia Tech and Miami seem like they're in a better spot, but if you go by that, if you go by just the teams that are ranked ahead of them, we'll even throw Notre Dame into that group ahead of them. That's only 3 more losses. That's 8-4. If it goes by this set of rankings, so we'll see. I mean, I tend to agree with you that we got to take a wait and see approach with this. Based on the newness of Ricky Collins and based on listen. We talk about whether or not teams are living up to expectations. It's only been a month of the season. It's only been 4 games. So, SMU, I still think they're a pretty good football team that's, got a dynamic offense and a dynamic quarterback, and it's a road game. And I still think that's going to be a really tough win for Syracuse, a really tough game for Syracuse. But, again, if you go by these rankings, 8-4, so I guess the over-under would be 7.5, if you go by these.
Yeah. I'm looking at it. I think they can beat Pitt. I think they can beat Duke. It's just a matter of if Angeli was in, I would change this drastically, actually, right? Wouldn't you? If he was still playing, I think I would put Duke as a win. I would put North Carolina. I would take them from tossy-uppy to win.
So I would say this. I predicted 6-6 before the season started. I think if Angeli were the quarterback right now, I think I would change my expectations, and I would say 7. I don't know if I would go higher than 7 at the moment.
So what are they at right now? 3?
They're 3-1.
I think they would be BC, UNC, Pitt, and Duke.
So that's 3, and then so that's 4. So that's 7.
Yeah.
I think SMU's still going to be a really tough game. Notre Dame, Miami, Georgia Tech, all of those.
On the road.
Yeah, all on the road. Those I would have a hard time predicting a win. I'm not. So obviously, they're capable of it. I don't know that I would predict.
I had them at 7. Mine would say the same, but the toss-up games would be less tossy-uppy.
You'd feel more confident with 7.
That's not how I speak in this show, Steve.
Yeah. All right. So, I think, I said 6 before the season. I think it's a wait-and-see approach with Ricky Collins, but I think they've got 3-4 more wins on this schedule, certainly. And we said they might have to steal one along the way, and I think when I said 6, I think I said they'll get one on the road. I'm not sure which one it'll be. I said Georgia Tech, and then they'll give one back at home. So they stole one on the road, and obviously if they can run the table at home, that gets them to 7.
Steve, we got today's business coming up. I'm going to throw a story in.
Kicker or an extra story?
An extra story.
Okay.
Joe
Sports related?
Lenardi has released his first bracketology.
Yeah. And?
It's called the Tease. 6 ACC teams. Let's see if we can guess them.
Okay. We'll take
play
a time
with
out.
Taste it, Tim Leonard, when he comes in.
Back after this on ESPN Radio.
Kill the mics for 1 second. This.
That's funny.
No.
I won't say that
It's
Steve
me.
said this, but Steve pictures Scooter looking like Beaker from the Muppets. Jordan looks like Bunce and Honeydew, so they could hang out together.
Paul De Niro asks if Angeli's going to redshirt. Yeah, I think the expectation, Paul, is that he's got 2 years left of eligibility. Fran mentioned that yesterday, that he absolutely will get the medical redshirt. So if he wants to stay in college 2 more years after this, he will have the eligibility. Gaper, do I think Ricky stays? That's a great question. I would have said no chance if Angeli were healthy. I think some of it, we got to see how it goes. Like if he settles into the position and he's just as good as Steve was, and you've got him for an extra year. Although I guess you don't now because of the extra, because of the medical red shirt. I don't know. I think there's a better than 0% chance he stays. Let's say that. Yeah, I don't know that they're both going to stay.
Oh, Steve, I was in the bathroom when I thought of you.
What are you talking about?
I haven't told you the story.
No.
So I went to my new urologist over what was it, a couple days ago. And so I got to go get a CAT scan, but he did the check of the prostate.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't think you have a prostate problem right now. I think you have some vascular issue with it. So he's in there. And he's like, in there for a long time, and he's going, see how it doesn't hurt over here?
Yeah.
And then he's going, but it does hurt over here. He kept pushing on that. And I'm like, yes, I get it. It felt like an extremely long period of time.
Yeah.
I had a man's finger in me. Sure. Oh, yes, finally.
Yeah, leading off the show tomorrow.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? How'd that come to be?
I got an email and I forwarded. Look at that.
Credit Paulie. He did.
We've got huge guests all of a sudden. But after the first time, he should have just said, see how it hurts here? That's enough. But he kept going, see how it doesn't hurt here, but it does here? Now can you... Last time
State fired Mike Gundy. I don't know if you guys care about that, yeah.
Last time I had a CAT scan, is that the one where they put you in the tube? They told me, we're going to inject you with this dye and it's going to feel like you're peeing your pants, but you're not. And it does feel like
yeah, I've had one before too, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Kevin says he'll take a
Tim
pepperoni.
doesn't know anything about yet.
Kevin.
Hopefully not for a little bit.
Well, I already got it checked. And I wish I could remember what it was. It's a male thing that I have infected shooter. Yeah. Welcome back to Orange Nation. I was running on empty today. I got up and I forgot that I did the old don't forget to put gas in your car. You ever do that, Steve? You just wait till the...
Yes.
I'm literally running on empty, too.
Yeah. I woke up this morning to the low flashing on my car, and I was like, damn.
I need to go in between shows today just to get gas because I know I'm leaving right after my show to go to the football facility to interview players, so I'll have no time
We're
in
all
between
running
my
on
show.
empty.
Yeah. All right, shall we get into today's business?
Yes, let's do it.
Brought to you by Superior Plus Propane. Paulie, you teased us right before the break, so we got to pay that off. That's what good radio hosts do. They tease well, and then they pay it off. And the ESPN bracketology is out, according to Joe Lenardi, our favorite guy.
Did you actually have it in, or did you?
No, I didn't, because I think it came out in between the time of the show starting and now, I'm guessing. I didn't see it, at least. Anyway, Syracuse not featured at all on this bracketology.
Boo, Fire Red.
There are 6 teams that are in, according to Joe Lenardi's first bracketology, from the ACC. You've got Duke as a 1 seed, Louisville as a 5 seed, UNC as a 6 seed, NC State with everyone's new favorite head coach, Will Wade, as an 8 seed, and 2 that are last 4 in are Virginia and Miami. Basically 11 seeds playing games, and then 2 that are next 4 out from the ACC are Clemson and SMU. So Syracuse is at least team number 9 at best on Joe Lenardi's rankings.
That's not good enough.
The hell's he know?
No, I know, but I'm just saying, ninth in the conference would that's not good.
No.
Why is he high in the Miami Hurricanes?
They're always they have a high payroll every year, and
right. They seem to be getting some love. They're ahead of Syracuse on the Bart Torvik rankings as well. I will not claim to know their roster very well right now, but
they had way more talent than most of the teams in the league last year, and then they just bottomed out.
I think the consensus is Duke, Louisville, UNC are the top 3, and then I think everyone does really like NC State and what they did in the transfer portal, and then Virginia as well seems to be pretty clearly team 5 from what I've seen in the ACC power rankings. They've got a new coach too.
So I just called up Miami's resume, for lack of a better term. They pretty much lost everyone. Under the column of key returning players, it is blank. Key new players, they've got a transfer from Missouri, a transfer from Michigan, a transfer from Georgia, a transfer from Indiana, transfer from TCU, a transfer from New Mexico.
This sounds expensive.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where they went out and they literally got an entirely new roster just made up of transfers, and you never know how it's going to mesh together. So that's what it sounds like. Sounds like they spent a lot of money on brand name pieces, from brand name programs, and we'll see what it looks like.
Yeah, so we all know Syracuse is going to have to exceed expectations, I think, a little bit, according to the national pundits, to make the tournament. I'm going to be surprised if we see the Orange inside the field on anyone's preseason bracketology.
Yeah, I would expect that. Yeah, I would expect that they're not going to be mentioned. But yeah, Miami surprised me a little bit. But I guess to the point of both of you, they are known for spending a lot of money, and it looks like they have. And we'll see what it looks like when things get started.
Other news, Oklahoma State did make the decision to fire Mike Gundy. That was a couple hours ago. Another Pete Thamel breaking report here before we come on for today's business. So that's one coaching job that is going to be open, and I do feel like it's going to be kind of an active coaching carousel based on how things are trending here. We've already seen Virginia Tech and UCLA open up, add Oklahoma State to the list, but I don't think we need to spend too much time on that, really. I just wanted to make note of Mike Gundy, who has been at Oklahoma State forever, basically, is no longer the head coach there. The NFL game last night, Steve, Lamar Jackson was sacked 7 times to the Lions. They lost that game. I kind of had the same takeaway that you texted us last night as well, that yes, Lamar Jackson is unbelievable, and sometimes you watch him make plays that no one else can make at the quarterback position, really. But the guy's always running for his life, which I guess is because of the offensive line. But sometimes it feels a little self-inflicted. Like sometimes he's running into trouble, or he's just constantly showcasing that part of his game.
And I prefaced the text to both of you last night with, I know he's really good, because I do. And this isn't me hating on Lamar Jackson, but the more that I watch him play, it seems like he always makes a couple of really head-scratching decisions in games. Now, granted, I've seen him play, I watched all of the Bills game last year, the playoffs, the Bills game this year, that game last night. Like the game last night when he's rolling out and he's just careless with the ball, along fourth and goal, and then, he ends up losing the ball and going back and recovering at the 20-yard. Like, that's just, I don't know. You got to be stronger with the ball there, number one. He always seems like he's running for his life, almost like he wants to scramble, right? We saw that a lot last night, wherein he just kind of nonchalantly tries to scramble, and there isn't a lot of urgency. And I don't know, and he's not super accurate either. I mean, he had a couple of really bad throws last night. He's a great player, and when he's on, he's spectacular. But he also just makes, like, you go back to that playoff game last year against the Bills where he just laid the ball on the turf. It wasn't even really hit, and and that was one of the game-changing plays. He seems to make some head-scratching decisions at times for somebody who is supposed to be maybe the best player in the league. I don't buy the best player in the league.
But you still think he's a top 3 quarterback in the league?
So I was thinking about that too. Like
oh boy,
I think he's certainly top 5.
Well, rank. I mean, Josh Allen's in there. We know that, and I'm not disputing that. Mahomes is still ahead of him.
I
would
so.
think. Yep.
And
would you rather have
Hurts or him?
I mean, Jared Goff looked pretty good last night.
Looked good,
but I'm not putting him ahead of Lamar.
Lamar's in that upper echelon. I don't know, and I'm not saying anybody's perfect. I mean, Josh Allen has his flaws as well. I just watching
Never
that
been
game,
to the Super Bowl.
Watching that game last night, it felt like Lamar was settling for running the football a lot when he was under pressure, but he just kind of nonchalantly tried to escape a few times and got tripped up.
Yeah, and I think if we had someone from the Lamar Jackson defender side on, they'd say, well, the offensive line stinks and they don't have much, and Derrick Henry keeps I mean, they do have Derrick Henry now, but he's fumbled 3 games in a row, which is pretty crazy. I think he tries to play Superman sometimes when he doesn't need to, though.
Yeah,
whereas
I would agree with that.
Josh Allen, I feel like, has evolved and is not making as many turnover-worthy plays as Lamar is now.
Yeah, and listen, the Lions are really good, but the Ravens helped him out last night with that, that 4th down sequence that went awry with Derrick Henry fumbling in the 4th quarter. They just, I don't know. Like, I think the Ravens are really good, but until they stop shooting themselves in the foot, they're going to come up short in these close games.
Justin Herbert looks pretty good.
He looks really good. I think he's healthy now, and I think that makes a huge difference. As I said earlier on the show a week or two ago, I think he was more injured last year than he was letting on, because he looks healthy this year, and he's been great.
Dateline China. A Chinese man went viral after spending almost an hour with his head stuck in a traffic light after he crashed his electric scooter into the light and it fell on his head. It's ridiculous looking. You'd like to see it.
I don't think I want to see this.
His head is...
Is he okay?
Yeah, he's just stuck in the light. It fell on his head and it perfectly wedged his head into where, like, the yellow light would... He went through the yellow
Just
light.
a traffic light on his head, Tim.
Does it look like a mascot head or something?
Yes. That's what it looks like. It's a weird looking thing. Like he went through the yellow, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
sure.
And the light is still green. How's the light still on?
The red.
I gotta say this.
That is funny. The light is still on. First responders spent around 40 minutes cutting away the metal casing.
And he's okay.
He safely released the man's head. The man was taken to the local hospital and has made a full recovery and probably been made fun of aggressively by everybody.
I mean, did he have like a concussion, like something?
Do I look like his damn doctor?
No, I have more questions.
A head-on collision, but with only light damage, Steve.
Oh, good one. I'm sure you just read that, but...
This is as rare as winning the lottery, somebody said. Except for you don't get anything.
Well, I'm glad he's okay. Well, he got to appear on Orange Nation, which is a nice consolation prize. We do have to get to our next guest. James Colgan, writer from golf.com, will be on with us as we preview the Ryder Cup this week. We're back after this on ESPN Radio.
I would book him, but I don't know.
You know what? I'll give you the green light for that.
Thanks. That was a kicker?
I see what you did there.
Green light.
Yeah.
Go ahead and book
Do you think, probably there were more than 2 or 3 instances of egregious faking injuries? I've seen today,
2.
someone was like, there were 2 in the first half.
Yeah, they're bad. It was awful.
Yeah.
It was embarrassing. Tony Panu.
He's not part of this.
You should be.
Mike B, how much did that cost? The Bills hat. Curious.
I don't want Corey Feldman playing me. I could play myself. I do it every night. Oh, that's something. I thought you said something else.
All right, that's reasonable, Mike.
My computer screen is frozen on David Ubin. Just staring.
I think it's Ubin.
You didn't need to do that. Marty Feldman. You remember the parody song, He's Got Marty Feldman Eyes? Instead of Betty Davis Eyes? Ah, classic 80s. Good days. He's got Marty Feldman's eyes. Someone needs to... Truth Hurts wants us to get a football practice shuttle so we could cheer them on at practice. I don't think they want you there. The new Pawn Pro commercial is just me. Brilliant. Steve,
I'm available.
No, it's a done now. I like to do those with my friends.
Well, we need to decide that you want a second voice.
There's no need. My voice is the only one that needs to be talked. Well, you updated the commercial. LA Orange? That happens. I did it as, what's his face? Well, hello.
Stefan.
Steve, have you noticed anything today that's been different about today's show?
You've done well with the bump backs?
Oh, the board has been impeccable. I've been killing it. I don't know.
You jinxed it. It's like talking about a perfect game before it's over.
I'm throwing it right now.
No hits allowed through 8 innings.
Oh, my goodness. It's
You
amazing.
only have one more to get through.
I'm running a tight ship today. Doctor, my eyes.
All right, let's go to our guest line to bring on our final guest today. We love having him on to talk golf with us. James Colgan, writer from golf.com. James, a homecoming for you this weekend, right? Going back to Bethpage Black. You grew up down on Long Island. This should be a treat for you, I would imagine.
It is a treat for me. I'm not sure that my parents would share in that opinion, considering I am sleeping in my childhood bedroom this week and bringing the chaos of Ryder Cup week back to New Hyde Park, New York, where I'm from, which is just about 20 minutes from the golf course here. It's an amazing week. I've had this circled on my calendar for 5 years, and now it's finally here, and I'm excited to talk about it.
What are you expecting atmosphere-wise? Because we know the Ryder Cup could get a little rowdy. Bethpage Black could get a little rowdy, and you're putting them together this week. What are you expecting from the atmosphere?
Well, I think it was Rory McIlroy who said it best a few days ago in an interview. He said, I don't think there's any way we can avoid a dust-up between the two teams just because of how chaotic the environment is and how crazy it's going to be in the crowds here. I mean, I think the expectation is that this could be one of the most raucous, insane, potentially over-the-line Ryder Cups that we have really ever seen. And this is an event that's sort of known for being a little bit crazy by golf standards to begin with. I've been telling everyone I know, I do not condone anything that is said in the crowds this weekend as a Long Islander, as a Long Island golfer. Like, I do not condone anything that comes out of the crowds here. But yeah, it's going to be absolutely insane. The setup on the first tee and the 18th green, there's a massive wraparound grandstand, and I believe there are going to be a few thousand fans in there. It is going to be completely chaotic chaos on Friday morning when things get underway. It's just there is ample reason to tune in at 7:15 a.m. when those first groups go off on Friday morning. I promise you that.
Tickets are very pricey. They always are for an event like this, but it's right near New York City, and there's a lot of excitement, obviously, leading up to this event. What are you expecting in terms of the size of the crowds? Do you think the size at all will be hurt by how much tickets are costing people?
This is an interesting question, something that I've been paying a lot of attention to as we've gotten closer to the event here. I've been super critical of the PGA of America's decision to price these tickets at $750 is the get-in price, and the prices go all the way up to like $1,500 per ticket, which is just insane and outrageous. From what I understand, though, they've had no problem selling the tickets. I believe the expectation is somewhere around 50,000 fans will be here on each of the weekend days, which is in line with any of the biggest crowds we see all year in golf. And add on to the fact that for Thursday, or rather for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the vast majority of the golf that will be going on, or at least that people will be watching, will happen sort of within 250 yards of the first green. And so it's the first hole, the 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th. They're sort of all in the same area. So people are just going to be jammed in there. It's going to be absolutely insane. And I think, the noise will be extreme, but I think there's also going to be no shortage of population density here as well once things get underway.
Keegan Bradley had a tough decision to make. Was he going to play and still be the captain of the team? He chose not to play at the end of the day. Do you agree with his decision to sit out and just focus on being the captain?
Well, Steve, I think I'm of a split mind on this. I think it was unequivocally the correct decision in that to be the captain of the team and to play. It's just something that's really, really difficult to do, especially in 2025. Like, there's a lot that goes into the week of being a captain. I mean, even Keegan said this, that if you were playing in the event, you couldn't prepare for the event and also prepare to be a captain at the same time. But if I were Keegan Bradley, if I were the person making that decision, if I had lived the career that he has lived over the last, 15 years, trying and failing and grinding to get back into the place where he could have a season like he had this year and really, frankly, deserve a roster spot on the team, I don't see how I could have left myself off. I think even I would have abdicated the captain's position and said, hey, Brad Snedeker, Jim Furyk, you take over for this. I'm going to get in there and play with my guys.
But yeah, so I think it was the right decision if he was going to stay captain, but I don't think I would have stayed captain. I think he should be on the team, and he should have just handed off the leadership role to one of the many capable assistants he has here on the U.S. side.
You know, it's funny, James, you and I haven't talked about this. I thought the same thing as they were going through this process. I thought, why doesn't he just give up the captaincy and play? And obviously he decided not to do that, and we'll see if the decision pays off. The home team has dominated this event for the most part, for the last decade plus. Do you give the Americans the edge? Do you give them a significant edge, or do you think this thing's going right down to the wire?
So I do give the Americans an edge, and the reason why actually just walked behind me as I was talking to you guys. His name is Scotty Scheffler, and he is the number one golfer in the world, and by a very, very, very wide margin right now. And I think when we've seen Scotty play in these team events over the years, he's really struggled with this thing of season-long fatigue. He's peaked very early in the year, and then he's struggled as the year has worn on to really keep his game in world number one shape. This year, that has not been the case. He has really, peaked a couple times throughout the course of the season, but heading into the fall, he was every bit as dominant as we've seen him at any point in his career. And I think when you combine the fact that, yes, there's a massive home field advantage for whichever team is home for the Ryder Cup. You get to control the way the course is set up. You have the fans cheering you on. Golfers, as a general population, are not really used to being yelled at and heckled the way that they are this week, and the way that other athletes are a lot. I think when you combine those things together and you add the fact that the number one player in the world is in pretty terrifying form right now, I would have a hard time betting against the U.S. side.
All right, so you think Scotty's going to have a good week. Who are some of the other guys, whether it's U.S. or the Europe team, who you're looking at and you think they're primed to have a really good week?
Yeah, I think there are a couple of guys who could really be the kind of linchpins or the swing points of this event. Obviously, Bryson DeChambeau at the very top of the board is one of them. We heard actually from Xander Schauffele said today that Bryson is the guy more than any other player on the team who could really swing the cup. And that's because, he called him a gladiator in the a golf gladiator, someone who loves to be in the arena, who loves the people, screaming his name and going crazy for him. And I think that's totally true. I think if you're looking at the sort of top line players, I think he's a guy who could make a big difference. Another guy on the European side that I think is going to play a huge role is Victor Hovland. Back, 2 years ago in Rome, a lot of people forget there was a three-headed monster on that team. It was Rory, it was John Rahm, and then it was Victor Hovland. Now, two of those guys have remained elite-level players over the last few years, but Victor's game has sort of oscillated back and forth. He's had some really strong weeks, and he's had a lot of weeks where, frankly, he's looked a little lost. And I think if he plays well this week, that could be a really, really big hinge point for the Europeans. And then someone whose name I don't think we're talking a lot about, but who I think could play a really big role in this. Actually, two guys I'll give you. Russell Henley, I think, is going to be playing with Scotty Scheffler, and he played really well in the President's Cup with Scotty last year. So much so that they're, I think, going to run back this pairing again this year. I think he could be a guy who, if Scotty's playing really well, of course you're riding his coattails a little bit, but you've got to hit some shots too if you're playing in that foursome. He's going to be a really important guy to make sure that the U.S. gets those points from their top players. And then another guy who I'm also very interested in is Cameron Young. He's a local guy. He grew up not far from here, up in Westchester. He's played a lot of golf in the Northeast, and I think a lot of people forget, he has an elite level ability that exists at a ceiling maybe a little bit higher than a lot of the other guys in the field this week. Obviously, we haven't seen a ton of that. He's only won one PGA Tour event, but it would not shock me to see him kind of show a little ice in his veins. And something I think a lot of golf fans forget is we sort of build our fandoms and our interest level in golfers based on their performances in these events. So if you play well, even if you're not the biggest personality, you will have people screaming your name. It's a massive opportunity, and I think Cam Young is a guy who is primed to take advantage of it.
Any other storylines, James, that you're watching or even planning to write about here as Friday approaches?
Yeah, I think there's a lot. I mean, the hometown angle of just being in this real mecca of public golf in America. I think it's something we don't see enough of in tournament golf, and especially not in the Ryder Cup. To have this massive golf event be in a place where anyone can get a tee time and anyone can show up and play. And if you're a New York resident, your greens fees are $70 to come out here and play. It's a spectacular gift to the game of golf. And I think there's just maybe a lack of understanding among a lot of American golf fans that this is the way golf is in most of the world. Like if you go to Scotland, if you go to Australia, even the best private clubs around will give you a tee time. You can get out there and play and see the greatest golf courses in the world. I think having the opportunity to showcase a municipal golf course like Bethpage Black and also a public club on in a place in Long Island that there is not a lot of public golf, I think it's a really awesome opportunity for golf to present, a good image of itself, something that I don't think we've seen a lot of over these last 5 years or so of all the division and ranker and golf. But it'll be really cool to see this week. I think the very best in golf will be showcasing itself, and that's kind of what I'm seeking out. I'm seeking out stories that are in pursuit of that.
Well, as a golf fan myself, I cannot wait, and what a cool opportunity for you to be able to go back home and cover the Ryder Cup while staying at your house. Enjoy the week. Hope your parents enjoy the week as well. And James, we'll talk again soon.
Say a prayer for Mr. and Mrs. Colgan here. I think they need it.
Will do. Our good friend James Colgan joining us here on the program. And with that, we'll hit our final timeout. We'll wrap things up on the other side. We're back after this on ESPN Radio.
You know what? Paul is great. Yeah, I saw too. Is it you? You smelled it before you were here. You're innocent. Maybe it's me.
I would like... Jimmy Fallon could play me, I guess. I don't care. I just don't want some short, fat, ugly guy. Did St. Bonaventure pick Brown because of the... No, I would assume because Saints, because the same reason the Padres are brown, the Friars wore brown. But it could be because he's the patron saint of bowel disease.
Gavendo, what's up? Yeah, Armosaurus. I love James, too. He does a great job.
All right, big moment here, Steve. Gonna close this out.
Game.
He's done it, ladies and gentlemen. A perfect game.
I thought you were going to have Tim do the wow.
No errors on the board.
No, perfect game for Paulie. It's been a while.
Tomorrow we will not be voting, just so you know.
Why is that?
Because the 25th is National One Hit Wonder Day, and we've decided that we will always do One Hit Wonders on National One Hit Wonder Day.
Nice.
There is a lot today, a lot of very good ones. But unfortunately, I know who's going to win because Steve and I are both voting in this.
I was going to say, I only get one vote, so
Nirvana,
you can control that. Okay.
Bare Naked Ladies, Red Hot Chili Peppers.
We haven't gotten there yet.
Gordon Lightfoot.
Still haven't gotten there.
Sting.
Still haven't gotten there.
Jim Henson.
Jim Henson.
A Tribe Called Quest.
Oh, well,
yeah, there we go.
Like Jim Henson, like Muppet songs?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm tempted, but it's got to be Tribe Called Quest.
Do you know why A Low End Theory was released? So I'm going to do 7 songs from
that was my favorite album.
A Low End Theory.
Oh.
So there we go.
There's
not including the open.
I was going to say, there's not a bad song on there, so.
Yeah. So there you go. Anything stick out today to you, Tim, that you heard on our show that you want to recap? Or?
One thing I would like to say, this is me saying nothing stuck out from the show today, I guess, but tomorrow on the show, be sure to listen right off the top because we will have Mike Greenberg of ESPN join us right at the start. So back-to-back shows of leading off with guests, which is not something we normally do.
Let's preface this, and maybe we can talk to Mike about this tomorrow. Every time we've booked him, something has gone sideways in my life that has caused me not to be here.
How many times have we booked him?
This will be the 3rd.
Is that right?
Yeah. And I'm a huge fan of his.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I don't think I've talked to him yet either. Why has he been on the show twice and neither one of us have done?
No, you definitely talked to him.
I did? Really?
One time Jordan...
I feel like you'd remember that.
One time Jordan booked him for the afternoon show and not us, and I was very, very upset with him. And then...
You know for a fact that I've interviewed him?
The second time I had COVID, during the middle of COVID, so we couldn't...
Huh. Interesting.
I don't remember... He has not been on since I've been back, working here at the station, I don't think, right?
Not
in the last
3-4
years, yeah.
I don't think I've ever talked. I mean, I will say this. I
was
talk to
out
him
when you talked to him.
Chris McManus and I went to ESPN many years ago, and we did our show from there, and we met Greenberg and Golick, and there was we spent a whole day out there with other ESPN affiliates from around the country. So I have talked to him before, and he was there that day. I don't think I've interviewed him on this show, though. Not that I remember.
Maybe we moved it to the afternoon show twice?
I think we did, because I don't think I've interviewed him on this show here. We talked to him in person out there, but I don't think I've ever interviewed him.
He's got a new book out, right?
Yes. So he'll be
so
on
I'll have to do some research on what that book's about. Is it the last book he had was the numbers?
Yeah, I think it's a similar theme, actually. I'll pull it up, but you'll know before tomorrow when he comes on.
Yeah, we've got 22 hours to prep for that. So are you going to take part then? You're going to take part in the interview? Okay.
I'm a fan of his.
Excellent. I look forward to it.
I'll let him know what an honor it is to have me be a fan of his tomorrow. We'll ask him who would play him in a movie.
And if he could say something nice about me. How's that?
You don't even know this guy, but could you say something nice about him so we can have him in the open?
He's always on time.
Right. The book
you can't say that about me, I guess.
Got Your Number, the greatest legends and the teams that made them. His last book was Got Your Answers, the 100 greatest sports arguments settled.
100, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of arguments.
So well, look, we do it every day. It's pretty easy to argue about sports.
He had a book that was like the best number for like the best number 2 of all time in sports, the best number 23.
So this one is the best number for each team ever?
I don't know that. It says, Got Your Number, the greatest legends and the teams that made them.
We can
The
ask
book
him.
dives into iconic numbers in sports history. Maybe this is...
So, like, I would think, like, the Padres would be 19 because of Tony Gwynn.
Weaving together storytelling, stats, and the cultural moments that shaped America's biggest franchises. This is part of the series of books that he has been dropping.
Like, 23 would be the Bulls.
See, I looked at it the other way. Like, 23 would be Jordan. 2 would be Derek Jeter. That kind of thing. But maybe, I don't know.
No, I think it's the numbers that are represented by the team.
Might have to ask him about his Jets. They aren't doing too hot.
That might be a
It's not
sore
new to
subject.
him.
Yeah.
It's not new to any Jets fan.
That's true.
All right. We are out of time. Anything, Tim, coming up at 5 o'clock you want to mention?
I'm going to continue to react to this Clemson game, start to look ahead to Duke a little bit, and I think I'm going to be ranking the top 5 Syracuse football players right now at 5 o'clock. So call in.
That sounds fun.
He's taking our bit.
No, it's good.
Stolen it.
That's good. He's teasing it here. He's going
But
to
I kind of created the bit on the show,
He did.
so isn't that allowed?
It's his intellectual property. He can do with it what he wants. All right, we got to go. What?
We do?
Yeah,
I just want to remind people
Yes,
that
we do. It's almost 2 o'clock.
The SMU watch party brought to you by the Bat at the Wildcat Pizza Pub during the SMU game. Come on out to the Wildcat. Watch with myself and Gio Heater. If not a big crowd, we have to fire Steve.
Paulie will be playing himself that day.
Yes. Oh, I wish I had a fill-in.
Who would play Gio? That's what we got to debate tomorrow on the show.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, okay.
He would be good for him. How come I'm nice to him?
I don't know.
Sloth from Goonies could play Gio.
All right, are we done now? We good now?
Yeah.
Okay. For Paulie, for Tim, I'm Steve. Thanks for listening, everybody. Join Tim at 5 o'clock. We're back at it noon tomorrow.